everybody.
All right. Well, good afternoon. I want to welcome everybody to the Portland Police Bureau and thank you for being here. I am Mike Benner, Public Information Manager here at the Bureau. I am joined by Chief Bob Day, Portland Mayor Keith Wilson, U.S. Marshal of Oregon Pete Cajigal, Multnomah County District Attorney Nathan Vasquez, as well as Portland Police Association President Aaron Schmautz. We're here to discuss the successful apprehension of the man suspected of shooting two Portland police officers 1 week ago tonight. But before we get into those details, I want to provide a quick recap of what has transpired over the last week. You might recall on Monday, January 19th at approximately 8:20 p.m., North Precinct officers responded to a report of a person making threats with a knife near Northeast 21st Avenue and Northeast Clackamas Street. When officers arrived, they located the suspect on Northeast Clackamas between Northeast 16th and 17th. During a brief conversation, the man pulled out a handgun and shot both officers. Both of them were rushed to the hospital. One was released Tuesday. The other, I'm happy to share, is being released today. Following the shooting, all available resources responded to the area. The scene was secured and an extensive hours-long search was conducted. Unfortunately, the suspect was not located that evening. Since then, this has been an all-hands-on-deck sort of situation. Detectives and patrol officers have worked continuously, following up on more than 230 tips from the community, none of which would be possible without the community and without the support of our federal, state, and local partners. Some of those partners include the U.S. Marshal Service, ATF, FBI, OSP, and the Multnomah County District Attorney's Office. Specific tips from the community provided critical information that led to the identification and ultimately the location and apprehension of our suspect. I'd like to direct your attention to the big screen here on our left. The suspect is identified as Eric Floyd Oelkers. This morning at approximately 7 a.m., Oelkers was arrested during a tactical operation in the 6400 block of Northeast 82nd Avenue. A subsequent search of the area resulted in the seizure of the firearm we believed was used in the shooting of our two officers. Following the arrest, Oelkers was transported back here to Central Precinct for an interview with detectives, then booked into the Multnomah County the Multnomah County Detention Center on the following charges: 2 counts of attempted murder in the first degree, 2 counts of assault in the first degree, and 2 counts of unlawful use of a weapon. With that, I want to turn it over to Chief Day for some remarks. Chief.
Thanks, Mike. Well, as always, I just want to take a moment, reflect really on the last several hours, including the tragic loss of life we experienced in East Portland this morning, our first recorded homicide of 2026. Do not ever want to lose sight of the sanctity of life, and the primary role and responsibility of policing is that preservation of safety for all. So our hearts go out to the family and the victims and those impacted early morning hours this morning. I'd also like to recognize that just in less than the last 24 hours, the Portland Police Bureau has been stretched incredibly thin. We had a couple of public order events yesterday afternoon. We had the homicide overnight, and then we have been working this case, continuously for the last several days, and then more specifically in the overnight hours and in this morning with surveillance and ultimately the apprehension. And so really has been a taxing week emotionally and physically. But we could not do it without these relationships that stand behind us right now. This doesn't happen alone. For starters, I just want to express my appreciation and pride for the Portland Police Bureau as a whole. This really was an agency-wide effort. The detectives that worked tirelessly on it, the first responders, the officers who were first on scene, officers throughout the week, our professional staff, our analysts, our administrative support. Really organizationally, this was an entire PPB lift, and really grateful to see how folks, on top of their already very demanding roles and responsibilities, move this on the top of the pile to continue to move this investigation forward. Also, really would not be able to do this without support of our partners. Mike already mentioned them, the Oregon State Police, critical with their crime lab usage, their support around DNA. Really grateful for the priority that Superintendent Cotting and his team put forward. Also want to thank our East Metro Crimes team, East Metro Tactical team helped us out here in the early morning hours. The Multnomah County District Attorney's Office you're going to hear from in a minute. You know, our federal partners were essential. We do have our U.S. Marshal here, you'll hear from a moment. I've been very clear over the last year the importance of relationships with our federal partners, and those relationships really came to pay the dividends this past week. We could not have done the surveillance and some of the investigative work without Pete and his amazing team, along with support from the FBI and the ATF, as already mentioned. And this is really a model that we have been demonstrating to the country that can happen in these challenging times in narratives that aren't always helpful to the community. We are saying that we continue to be in partnership, understanding our lanes, understanding our roles and responsibilities, but when need be, we can bring those resources together to provide that highest level of public safety for all of Portland, and I'm really grateful for our federal partners. The mayor has been on the forefront of this as a leader of this city and supporting us with his messaging and offering resources available. So grateful for that support. And then finally, the community piece. And Mike already touched on it, but literally 230 tips in the last week. Within the first 96 hours, we had 190 tips, 146 of which were actionable. So we are continuing to look through leads and look through information as this case continues to move forward. And finally, I just want to highlight, to me, this is what it looks like when you have a fully resourced police department, when you have an agency that's able to come together and focus on these, very serious crimes. We would like to be able to pay that effort and that attention to all of the challenges that Portlanders face, and we're committed to doing the best we can in the circumstances that we have. This is also a commitment to constitutional policing. There has been no rush to judgment on this person's guilt or innocence. We have simply been following where the case goes. We adhere to the rule of law. I've been clear about that for the last year. We focus on probable cause, see where the evidence takes us. It is about partnerships. It is about professionalism. This officer shot 2 of our police officers, and this morning our tactical team took him into custody. We did not use force. We were able to gain compliance and take him into custody. The Portland Police Bureau is not about retribution. We're about staying with the rule of law. We're about staying as a constitutionally oriented police bureau that will continue to serve all the Portlanders, regardless of their behavior or their actions directed towards one another or directed towards us. And with that, I want to turn it over to Mayor Wilson.
Thank you, Chief. This is a good day. We continue to focus on community health and safety, and today was one of those days where our partners worked with us. My office was extremely concerned from the moment this occurred. We put our whole team behind it, and we brought the resources of the other co-workers throughout the entire city, because we really want to be one city and support all facets of our city so we can provide clean streets and safe places for everybody to enjoy the city. First, I want to recognize the hardworking and dedicated public servants of the Portland Police Bureau. Over the past week, they've worked tirelessly and professionally under extraordinarily difficult circumstances. Their persistence and skill led to the safe apprehension of a suspect this morning, and our entire city is grateful for their continued commitment to protecting our community. This has been an incredibly tough time for the 2 officers who were shot last Monday, and for their families, colleagues, and their loved ones. One officer has been released from the hospital, and the other continues to recover. We're holding them close in our thoughts as we remain steadfast in supporting them through every step of their healing. I also want to express deep appreciation for the coordinated efforts across jurisdiction. The U.S. Marshals, as the Chief had noted, our federal partners, state and local agencies, and community members all played a critical role in bringing this case to a turning point. This collaboration reflects the best of what public service can be. People coming together with shared purpose to keep Portland safe. While the investigation continues, today's developments are an important step forward And I want to thank everyone involved for their professionalism, their courage, and their unwavering dedication to our city. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I want to emphasize this arrest underscores the strength of interagency partnerships in this city. When violence threatens public safety, law enforcement agencies unite and work together as one. The response you saw here reflects the seamless coordination between the U.S. Marshal Service, the Portland Police Bureau, and our state and federal partners. The Marshal Service's priority throughout this operation was the safety of the public. Every decision made was deliberate, lawful, and guided by the goal of resolving this matter without any further violence. In closing, let me be clear. If you commit violence against law enforcement or the public, we will find you. We will do so lawfully, methodically, and in partnership with those who share the responsibility of keeping our communities safe. Thank you. I'll turn it over to the DA.
Thank you. Good afternoon. First and foremost, I'm very thankful that that are our officers are making a recovery. Having had the opportunity to visit with them, I know that this is very meaningful to them. I'm also very thankful at the really professional and thorough investigation that has taken place, and not just the investigation, but the search that was done in very careful coordination with my office, with Portland Police, with multiple agencies. And I got to see firsthand how the detectives and the various agents, including the U.S. Marshals, worked really 24 hours a day to get this done. And it is only because of their professionalism and the dedicated approach they took that we saw this come to a safe ending. Portland cannot and will not become a place where someone can shoot at police and get away with it. I am going to be bringing the full weight of my office to make sure that this is aggressively prosecuted and that every charge is considered, including and up to attempted aggravated murder in the first degree. This is the beginning of the process for the District Attorney's Office, but I want to make sure that the community understands that this office will be laser focused and this will be our highest priority. We will make sure that justice is brought for the officers and for their families. In terms of the process, I want to be clear that one of my top deputy district attorneys, Melissa Marrero, who's here today, is currently reviewing the case and has been working on this case from the very beginning. This suspect will be arraigned here in the next day on charges that we believe will get the process started, and then the case will be presented to the grand jury, and they will be asked to consider a host of charges, including, as I said before, attempted aggravated murder. And I want to be abundantly clear for the community and for the officers and their families. This office will be demanding that this individual be held without bail. Thank you.
Aaron Schmaltz, I'm the Portland Police Association president. I spent a lot of time speaking with our families about this incident that took place. I'm a second-generation police officer. Policing is an interesting job because, as I've said publicly several times recently, attacks on police officers is attack on the fabric of our society. Our officers, unlike any other job, when something really bad happens, one of our members is shot, deeply injured, they're still responding to all the calls in the city. They're still doing the work, and people at home, their family members who love them, are wondering if they're okay. What's been really heartening for me in watching this situation unfold into this successful capture of this individual is our federal partners working with us to ensure we can bring this person to justice. The families wanted to make sure I noted that. It has been our officers, our detectives, our criminalists, all of our law enforcement partners ensuring that we do so safely. You know, you look at kind of the juxtaposition. While we have had some elected officials and media completely disregard what has happened here, many have not. I'm very thankful for Mayor Wilson and his support of our officers. But most importantly, the support from our community has been incredibly loud. Our officers, they go out and they risk their lives every day in support of a community they love. And seeing that support and love returned in a way that has led to the successful capture has been something that none of us will soon forget. The officers are recovering. Their injuries were grievous, and they will have their lives changed forever by this event, and I think our city will too. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron, and thank you to all our speakers. We have some time for some Q&A. As always, please state your name, who you're with, and who your questions for. And again, just keep in mind this is an open and ongoing investigation. We're a victim-centered agency, so we owe it to our officers to keep some of the details close to the vest so that Nathan and his team can carry out a successful prosecution. With that, Christina.
Yeah, Oelkers had significant criminal history, including some pending charges for bank robbery and other such things. Did he have a pending warrant at the time of his arrest? Did he have a pending warrant at the time of this incident, and what was being done to bring him in on that warrant?
You know, Matt, I don't know the history of.
I do. My name is Matt Jacobson, Jacobsen. I'm a sergeant with the Detective Division here at the Portland Police Bureau. Obviously, once we had identified Mr. Oelkers as a suspect, we began to look at that history. I know I've spoken with the chief investigator at the DA's office about that pending case. They had assigned it for some follow-up at one point. I haven't had a ton of time to speak too much more about that with him. But again, as part of our background, I did identify that, or we did identify that. So I think we probably could get more into that, but we had at least known that some work was done.
Could you tell me if there was a warrant?
Sorry?
Could you tell me if there was a warrant on those pending charges?
My understanding is there was a warrant in the system related to a robbery. I couldn't tell you if it was that specific robbery or not. I wouldn't want to make that connection without looking at specifically.
Can you tell us exactly which tip kind of helped you identify who he was, or what the tip was?
Absolutely. As we mentioned, I think we're up to over 230 tips at this point. A key part of that is in the first 96 hours, we were able to receive about 180 or 190. 146 of those were identified as actionable. We developed a fairly robust and detailed system for vetting those tips. All of those actionable tips were assigned to an investigator for follow-up. One of those tips did lead eventually to the area where he was taken into custody. Even in 2026, that tip was worked in kind of old-fashioned boots-on-the-ground policing. We had investigators, several detectives out speaking to that tipster, exploiting those leads, following those leads, talking to other people, and really working the tip as it led them based on what they learned. So it was a little bit of a call back to getting out and following it and doing the work and talking to the people.
So was that tip like we saw him in that area, or was like, oh, I know who that is, this is his name?
The tip was in general that somebody that is associated with that area believed that they had seen a person that could be consistent with the photos we released immediately after that incident. And so from there, we were able to build on that to lead us where we were.
Were you able to confirm if that was because there's a business in Park and Fly, and they told me that there was a person who had been vandalizing their business, threatening their employees, the picture you showed me looked very similar. Are you able to dive into whether there was a connection between that vandalism and this person being arrested?
So this is open, ongoing, and DA Vasquez mentioned the process where we do still need to get through grand jury. I'm not going to get into those specifics, but again, people associated with that area were the people that called and began that process.
Do you know if this person was houseless, or if they were kind of the status on that part?
I think it's too early to say or add a label. I do know, and I'm comfortable saying they are from Portland.
It was mentioned, Joey Baca with Coin 6, that he was taken into custody without incident, but I guess could you go into more detail about what that process was like, taking him into custody when that operation started, what happened?
Rob, do you have more details on that? I got some that
Yeah, absolutely. As we mentioned, we were partnering with the U.S. Marshal Service on this case. We once the suspect had been identified and we had obtained a warrant, we solicited the assistance for them to work a fugitive case. That is what they do. They are professionals at it, as we are, but this is what they specialize in. So in the partnership with them, and once a location was identified, they full circle turned back to us and requested assistance from the Special Emergency Reaction Team and the Crisis Negotiation Team from the Portland Police Bureau. That planning took several hours. A detailed and thoughtful plan was put into place. And then certain C&T then kind of took over that final piece of that custody from the U.S. Marshal Service, utilizing some additional tools at their disposal.
Coming down on KXL, about how long did the whole takedown take? I mean, from the time that you identified where he was until the time that you arrested him, was it a long negotiation period or?
Specifically, any negotiation period, I would say, we worked this problem now for many days. I think once our certain C&T made contact with Mr. Oelkers, it was a couple. I'd have to look. I think it was over an hour. But again, that was being methodical, thoughtful, and slow about that work. As part of my role, I'm actually a sergeant on our crisis negotiation team and work with CERT. Using the thoughtful for way they do things, there's no reason to rush into anything. Everything was done with ultimate safety in mind.
At what point did you identify Oelkers as a suspect?
The question for you was what point we had identified Oelkers as a suspect. It was over the course of the last about 48 hours. Again, won't get into all our specifics, but that was based on a number of different things, not just one specific lead. It was a accumulation of several different items of work.
Christina, do you have another question?
Yes, I do. With the incident where he was allegedly threatening with a knife, are there going to be charges in that, and was there a motive established on that one? And then can you elaborate on the conversation with officers while they contacted him?
So to answer your first question about the initial confrontation, again, we are now early on into this next phase of this investigation. Obviously, our focus has been primarily on finding Mr. Oelkers and safely bringing him into custody. So we will continue to work through that other part. I couldn't give you a straight answer on a yes or no, but obviously we continue to work this investigation to its fullest. And then I'd have to ask for the second part again.
Oh, yeah. When the officers were talking to him, when they approached him, what was that conversation? What was going on there?
I'm not going to get into a ton of details. There obviously was a call for service. We discussed it, I think, on Thursday when we spoke, that we don't believe that was some sort of ambush. There was a call for service from a community member that led them there. Again, it was some sort of threat.
Joey, a couple more questions, then we got to.
Yeah, the place that he was arrested, not particularly close to the place that he shot these officers. Do you have any idea how he got to that part of town and what he was doing this last week? Did he drive? Did he have a car? Any ideas?
I think that's kind of a detailed question. We do. It's not something we're really comfortable sharing. We have an idea, but again, without articulable facts and evidence to support it, I wouldn't give you a ton of good to give you an answer that we couldn't necessarily support.
Celine and then Christina will call.
Was he armed during the arrest, and depending on that answer, where specifically was his firearm found, and also was the knife ever found?
So we did recover a firearm from the area he was taken into custody from. Past that, I was out at the scene and then have came back here and been prepping. So I couldn't give much more detail than that. And then on the knife, we can get back to you and detail that and have Mike follow up.
You don't know if it was physically on his body when he was arrested or just in that area?
I'd have to look, so I couldn't give you a good answer.
This might be a question for the DA, but these charges for alleged bank robbery date back to 2022. People are going to want to know, why was this guy on the loose when he had charges for bank robbery in 2022? The PC statement in those charges mentioned that he may have had a gun on him, and it seems like he would have been arrested to the public, and why was he on the loose?
Yeah, and I can tell you my office charged him with a crime, and he was in warrant status. So it's something that we wanted to see prosecuted, and so it'll be an issue of we are one part in the process. The court makes decisions about who remains out of custody and in custody, but I can tell you that under my administration, we've been very clear. We are demanding that people be held in custody when they are a risk to the public. So certainly it's one where we had major charges on him, and we will be pursuing those as we go forward, as well as making sure that when he comes before the court on this matter, we will be requesting that he be held without bail.
Mike, could you answer the question
On this morning's homicide?
Yes, and then there was another question.
Sure, yeah, since Chief is here, I'll just give a brief synopsis of this morning. Obviously, and unfortunately, we had our first homicide of 2026 this morning. I can tell you around 2:30 a.m., there was a medical call, someone in distress in the area of Southeast 134th and Herald. When paramedics arrived, they noticed that this individual was not just in distress, but he had been shot. So officers also responded to the scene and cordoned off the area. And that individual unfortunately passed away despite life-saving efforts by paramedics on scene. Our homicide unit, folks who were, still working this other case, responded to that scene and launched an investigation. And in the coming days, we anticipate identifying the individual who is deceased. And as always, anyone with information about that case should contact homicide tips at police.portlandoregon.gov. And we'll take one final question from Christine, then we have to let these individuals get on with their day.
I'm going to read it off. This is not my question. President Trump is demanding that local law enforcement assist federal law enforcement in detaining undocumented people who are wanted for crimes. What is your reaction to these demands given Portland's sanctuary status?
Yeah, our position isn't going to change. We're going to be consistent like we have been. We are not engaged in immigration enforcement. Have not been since the state law was passed, I think, in 1987. We're not going to change now. We're going to continue to adhere to the rule of law. We're going to continue to adhere to the desires of Oregonians and what their wishes are, and continuing to police Portlanders in the manner in which they're asking to be policed. So nothing's going to change on our end in that regard.
Sorry, Mayor Wilson, do you have an answer for that as well?
I'll just,
Thanks so much for taking
no
the
trouble. Just second what the chief noted. We're a sanctuary state, we're a sanctuary city, and the council just reaffirmed through Protect Portland that we're committed to being a sanctuary city. And so we will continue to hold up the values of our community.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to all our speakers. I just want to follow up and close the loop on Celine's question. The firearm was not located on Mr. Oelkers. It was located in the area that he was taken into custody. Lastly, again, a big thanks to the community and a thanks to all of you in the room, because we are not standing here today without you all helping us get this information out, get those pictures out, and that leads to those tips from the community. So really appreciate all of you. Thank you for being here today, and have a good rest of your day. Thank you.